if it was not foggy that Christmas Eve, Rudolph's working at McDonald's. And hello, everybody. Welcome to On Second Thought. I'm Deano Allen. He's Jacob Krelovich. Jake, I'm just excited to be on the pod with you today, man.
Dude, I'm excited too. Finally
Yeah,
got it going in here.
we've been talking about this for 3 months. We did like a practice show on 91.3 KMSA in Grand Junction, music for the Mavs. Um, and yeah, like we got warmed up, we got ready to go. And Jake, I'm gonna throw you a bit of a curveball here already because we have our topic sheet, right? And everything you thought was listed in order, but we got to talk about first things first. Who's the champ? Who who owns your poverty franchise?
Man, are we talking fantasy here?
We're talking fantasy football, buddy.
Man.
So just
So,
for you viewers at home, right? I was the last team in the playoffs, right? 6 seed, 7-7 regular season record. I started out 5-1. My insanity run came to an abrupt halt. Um, and then in the playoffs, I win the first round, beat the 1 seed in the second round. Brock Purdy almost threw that game, by the way, with all those picks.
dude,
Because I needed like a solid 4 points to win. And Purdy and OBJ combined for like five because my glorious king, Brock Purdy, threw 4 picks.
oh my dude, I
Um,
remember you sending me that text message. It was like, all I need is 4 points combined from Odell and Brock. And like Brock got like 3.4 or something. And then Odell got like three. It was just crazy.
I
I
remember
was like,
'cause I was at my aunt's house in Oregon, Christmas Day, right? And like I'm watching that game while putting apart her Christmas gift, which was a propane grill. Um, and I'm just like sitting there sweating. But that's like, Dean, what's going on? Why do you look like you're gonna die? And I said, Dad, this is a life or death situation. Um,
I'll never come back from this.
the amount of smack I talked before that game, I needed Brock and OBJ to show up. By the way, that OBJ trade with you, probably my best like piece of GM work ever.
Oh yeah, we should put that up on the screen. Post editing, Jake, put that up on the screen, the details of that trade.
Yeah,
But
because it was great.
it was like I traded Puka, um Odell, and I traded someone else, I think. And then
He
in
was
return,
injured. It was Donald Parham.
oh, Goddard
Yeah,
or
Dallas
Goddard,
Goddard. Yeah,
Goddard.
because I had to pick up Parham in free agency.
Right. Which I
Um,
didn't even know he was hurt. I didn't even mean to like try and do that. And then
honestly, I think he was questionable when you traded him, and then he got put on IR like the day after we finalized the trade.
right. Right. And then in return, I got Kittle, Javante Williams, I think some other guy that I ended up releasing. But man, that that freaking hurt me.
But we also got to talk too about some more great general manager work here. A few days before all the games started for the championship weekend, I went and picked up Tom Brady out of the waiver wire.
You
Uh,
did.
and Jake was very confused, and my simple reasoning was just need some Super Bowl experience in the locker room for the big week. And
Absolutely.
honestly, I shouldn't have won that game. I was playing with 9 players because I was on the way back from Eugene, Oregon, right? Picked up this hat in the Oregon Pro Shop, by the way.
Ooh, nice, nice.
Fire lid. Um, and I land in Denver and I get the thing, Raheem Mostert out in your starting lineup. And all I could think was, right? Like I was not a happy camper. I was like, dude, I'm gonna lose because of this. And I have no one to blame but myself for not buying the $8 Southwest Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
We touched down, and I remember going into at the beginning of the week, I had a 30% win chance. I mean, I was going up against, the 2 seed, right? He had the second best regular season record because I took down the 1 seed because I'm actually him.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but I remember looking at him like, dude, I'm really about to throw this because I was in a plane. So like, yeah, we got to get the week 30% win chance. Then just watching Sunday Night Football, I just needed oh God, AJ Dillon to
Yeah.
outscore some rando on the wide receiver. Not even. I just need him to not get outscored by 20 plus points.
Yeah.
And what's funny is sleepers only put me at like an 80% win chance.
Right. I saw that. Like even with like 2 minutes left in the game, like
Yeah, like literally,
it,
I did not have anything above like 85% until the final whistle was blown,
right.
which is
Right.
like just
Because usually within like the last minute at least, when they don't have the ball, you have like a 99%. So it was
But I
weird.
was like, I was still trying to like 83%. Like I was super like, what does sleeper know that I don't?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it was, but yeah, I'm just glad I was able to win the fantasy football chip. And with nine
Man.
players too. I
Man,
mean, Jake, you took what, fifth place?
I went 8-6, got my playoff berth at the fifth seed, I think, or fourth seed.
Yeah, you
First
were.
round, first round exit, man.
Which
But
you went, you
I
took. Yeah, you took fifth place, and you don't have
I
to spend
took
24
fifth.
hours in an IHOP.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, who even got the last place? Do we
It
remember
was
that?
Heisenberg.
Yeah, well,
Heisenberg's. Yeah, that
yeah, it was
that's
Heisenberg.
our buddy Blake. Yeah, he's gonna have to take a trip to the IHOP here soon.
I'll be there. Well, we
Yep.
might record the pod from the IHOP.
Yeah, dude, that would be sick.
That would be insane.
Talk about a crazy setup here. Speaking of setups, let's talk about what we're rolling with here. Where are you currently at right now?
I am at the Pueblo West branch of the Pueblo City County Library District. Basically, I'm back home for Christmas. I'm still a Mesa student, right? And I'm like, well, my dog likes to bark. My dad likes to yell at Fortnite. Um,
Did
my
your dad grind
brothers,
Fortnite?
dude. So here's what's funny, right? When Fortnite was big, right? I'm talking like Tilted Towers, like
Hmm.
Chapter One, Season 3 era. My dad clowned on me so hard for playing Fortnite.
Oh my
Like I'd
God.
be like playing it on my PlayStation in my room on my little, 32-inch Vizio, like edge of the bed, right? Like beautiful setup. I had like the $20 Wish.com headset, like
Yep.
whole 9 yards. My dad would make so much fun of me. I got another funny story to tell about my dad making fun of me too on PlayStation. But anyhow, so like as I'm gone at college, my dad, or no, I was in Europe this summer. And my dad starts playing Fortnite, and I get home and I'm like, Dad, you've been playing Fortnite for like the last 4 hours. What are you doing? This is a grown man with
Big grown
children.
man.
He works in a hospital and he still wants to grind the Fortnite, of which I respect immensely.
I respect it.
Like I'll play from time to time. Like when OG Fortnite was out while I was home for Thanksgiving,
Oh
dude,
man.
bro, back in my Fortnite prime, I was the best Fortnite player in my middle school.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. Or do you remember quarantine with Madden 20?
Oh, dude.
Dude, I don't want to be on the ground when the time.
Time flies. I don't
Dude, I remember
know.
hearing that
Yeah,
song before I
yep.
got absolutely. Oh God, who's that one Rams running back who just killed everybody? Eric
Todd Gurley?
Dickerson?
Uh, oh,
No.
Eric
You remember
Dickerson?
that card
Oh, yeah, and
in
Mutt.
the Ultimate Team? Dude, that card would shred me. Or when Superstar KO came out, I remember getting my like crap tucked in by Quavo.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Dude, when they started adding the celebrities, dude, and they were like good. Like they were
Yeah, they
good
like,
cards.
dude, I will like die on this hill. That Superstar KO is the best game mode Madden's added since they made Ultimate Team.
Really.
It's like they finally cared about something that wasn't microtransactions, and it was beautiful.
And I agree with that. I think Mutt, I've stopped playing Mutt after 2020. It's just so hard to win games without spending money. And like even if you do spend a little bit of money, it's still hard.
Well, yeah, because like you could spend $100, get the best card in the game today. Then 2 days later, it's a waste of money. The card's not good anymore.
Exactly.
And like, sure, you
Yep.
can grind for rewards, but it's absolutely a pay to win game mode.
Exactly. And there's no reason to spend money on Mutt early in the season because like none of the team of the year cards are out yet. Like none of the 99s are even out. So it's just like I don't know.
Like those Madden YouTubers, like I'm a big Papa Meeks watcher, right? MMG,
Yeah.
he's my dog. Like he
Yep.
doesn't know who I am, but like I feel like if we ever met, we'd be homies.
We'd be homies.
Um, dude, for sure. But like, dude, the amount of money that guy must have to spend, like that's why he's like always has sponsors. He calls himself a sellout, which I think is
Hmm.
completely accurate. Remember when he was sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends for a while?
Dude, yes.
Remember that like
The
3 month
Madden
span?
YouTuber. Yeah.
Bro, it was wild. All right, but
Oh
yeah, we're
my
getting
God.
off track. So,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Yeah. We're going down a weird
weird rabbit hole. But anyhow, yeah, I'm your fantasy champion. Jake, I own you. I still own you. I always will own you.
bow down.
Dude, Mav up for that one, boys. All
Love
right,
it.
next one. I feel like we gotta jump to this topic because I see you wearing the tarp. Russell Wilson. What's what's going on there, Jake?
So for those that don't know, which I'm pretty sure everyone knows at this point, Russell Wilson has gotten benched, bench, $245 million quarterback. Um, to the bench, Jared Stidham takes his place. He does get the win over the Chargers, 16-9. Um, Many people are like, watch him throw 5 touchdowns for 400 yards. Not what happened. Solid game from Jarrett, though. I'll give it to him. The offense pretty much looks the exact same, is what I'll say. Um, I think the situation is very messy. The organization looks really bad right now. A lot of people don't want to say that, just because they're certified Russ haters. But like, if someone if someone asked you, like, at your job to like, listen, we're gonna take your workers' comp away, basically, like on like a job that's very what's the word? It's a job that
Risky.
you can, yeah, very risky job that you can get hurt on. And like he got benched for not taking those away. So essentially the ownership's what they wrote in the contract, the exact terms, these are terms that they mutually agreed to, right? So this isn't something that's like, out of the blue. Like, you agreed to these terms, you signed the contract, yet yet you're gonna bench him? I mean, you're the one that agreed to this. I get, is Russ is Russ from 2020 Seattle Russ? No. But he's not a bottom tier quarterback. And I think it's just very classless of the organization, um, especially for a guy that's been in the league for 10 plus years and has so many accolades, 9-time Pro Bowler, 9-time All Pro, to just get benched out of the blue like this when he's not even playing like worse than probably 16 other quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, it's like this contract you agreed to him. If you're gonna cut him, fine, but at least let him ride out the rest of the season. You owe it to him.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing too. I want to go back to that point you made about how the offense looks the exact same with him in there.
Hmm.
I mean, what does that really say about Russ compared to Stidham, though? Because I mean, if it's looking the exact same for $7 million instead of $37 million, would it make sense for the Broncos to trade him?
And you bring up a good point there. Um, I'm I'm the biggest Russ fan as the next guy. And I get that he hasn't lived up to the 245 million. I I understand the trade sense. I don't think anyone would take on that contract is the only thing. I think the best thing in the Broncos' interest probably is either they're gonna cut him or reconstruct in the offseason, which I don't expect happen. It's just it's a very odd situation.
Well, I remember sitting in my grandpa's living room when the news came that the Broncos not only traded for him, but instantly gave him this massive extension. And
Right,
my grandpa said that was the dumbest thing the organization could have done because you're giving this guy an extension before he's even, given his snap count.
right.
So, I mean, I get it. Like I'm not the biggest Russ hater. I just don't think he's the Russ we saw in Seattle. Because I mean, his play style, he's just getting older. And I told you at the beginning of the season too, Sean Payton was going to struggle with Russ because he had
Mhm.
Drew Brees pretty much his entire career. And Drew Brees loved the guy, but he's a guy, he takes the snap, he sits in the pocket. He's not a scrambler.
Right.
Then you got Russ, who's really more of like a Dante Culpepper type guy, who he's going to take the snap, roll out, and then throw it. But just, I don't think Sean Payton really knows how to coach a scrambling quarterback.
Exactly. And that's a really good point because Jarrett Stidham, I think the reason that Sean made this move, let's get this out of the way first. Sean says this move was strictly a football decision. No one in the world is buying that. The guarantees is why he was benched. And Jarrett Stidham is definitely more of a pocket passer. Russ is not. Russ is not that. Russ cannot be a pocket passer. That's what Hackett tried to do last year. And what did we see? 16 touchdowns, 11 picks for the entire year. The entire year. This year, um, Sean, I love Sean. Sean's an offensive mastermind, but you're right. Russ is a guy that feeds off of broken plays, play action, getting out of the pocket, boots, stuff like that. And I think Sean doesn't necessarily like Russ. I think there's a personality mesh that doesn't completely work. I think Russ can succeed somewhere else, which sucks because I really wanted him to be here for the next 7 years. I just wish it would work out. Um, but yes, Sean, I don't think knows how to play with a quarterback that just lives off extended plays.
What I think right now what we're seeing too is really similar to Marcus Mariota when he got drafted by the Tennessee Titans in 2015. I don't remember who the Tennessee head coach was back then because I was little. I think I was what 12 years old, 11 years old, give or take. Um, so like just Mariota though in college, he fed off the movement from the Oregon Pistol offense.
Hmm.
Then Tennessee, I mean, we were still kind of before that mesh where a true dual threat quarterback was popularized in the league because I mean that was before you got guys like Mahomes and Lamar who are really
Yep.
true scramblers. I mean, I think if Mariota was drafted today, he'd be a spectacular quarterback. I
Hmm.
remember you and I playing Madden before we left for Christmas break, where Hurts, I think he got like out for a while, and you were worried. But then I went and had like my best two offensive quarters with Mariota in
Yep.
because I know how to use him. And Tennessee didn't know how to do that. And I think Sean Payton's doing the same thing with Wilson.
Right.
And
Exactly.
but also, I mean, if we're going to talk about pocket passing quarterbacks, we got to bring up Joe Flacco. That
Man.
guy is on a tear. So, I mean, if we're looking at it right now, he has a plus 140 odds on FanDuel for comeback player of the year. DeMar Hamlin's still the overwhelming favorite at minus 150. But the odds for Flacco when he won his first game opened at plus 18,000.
That's
So he's obviously making a push. And if the whole thing didn't happen with DeMar last year, I guarantee you he's a heavy favorite at this point.
absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I saw this tweet the other day that like people think that Joe Flacco is scared of Sauce Gardner when he went up against Ray Lewis and Ed Reed every day in practice.
Yeah. Come on now.
And he played Troy Polamalu twice a year.
Yeah. All right.
You
So
think?
this begs the question: is Joe Flacco an elite quarterback?
I think if we're looking at the league right now, I mean, I sent you that one thing on Instagram. I'm gonna have you pop that up, that graphic with his ratings.
Oh yeah.
Um, he had like what a 45.6 QBR.
Yeah.
And that number shocked me. I thought he was playing much better than a 45.6 QBR.
I think it's all the picks
Yeah, but also, I
because
mean, he's 3-1 right now, averaging a touch over 300 yards a game. I mean, I think he
yep.
had 3 touchdowns in that playoff clinching win he had on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, that's my thing is like if you're winning and you're throwing touchdowns, do the picks really matter?
Exactly. And I think, too, I mean, the Browns defense is nothing to shake a stick at.
Oh no. No.
I mean, they're
Besides
a
the
solid
Ravens,
defense.
they're top 3, top 5 defense.
Oh, top five easily, top three arguably. I mean, no one's beating the Ravens right now. The Ravens are so incredibly hot. Like just seeing how they steamrolled the Niners, then steamrolled the Dolphins.
Yeah,
Um,
Odell, speaking of yep, your buddy Odell on your team. Um he said after their win over the Dolphins, he said this is the best team I've been on from top to bottom. And that's saying a lot because he won a Super Bowl with the Rams. He's saying this is the
yeah.
best team he's ever been a part of.
Well, I mean, that Rams year, man, that was, I don't want to call it a fluke, but if you look at, the years after that Super Bowl,
Hey, they just clinched.
I know, and I was shocked because like last year, they were out of playoff contention before they even played the Broncos on Nickelodeon.
Right. Yep.
I
Yeah,
remember watching
Stafford.
that game. Dude, Frat Stafford, though, like he is probably the last, like, he's probably the last, like, old era quarterback we're going to see, except Rodgers.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think in the league who else has been around for a while. I mean, Russ isn't really that old era quarterback. Um,
Mm-mm.
yeah, I think like just off the top of my head, yeah, I think he's probably the last like old era quarterback we're gonna see win a Super Bowl. Because I don't think Rodgers can lead the Jets to a bowl. I really don't think he can.
I don't think so either.
I mean, I think there's just
I
so much
don't.
going on organizationally. Like that whole thing with Zach Wilson.
Yeah. Right.
That's just sickening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Did you did you see that Rogers was on Pat McAfee, I think yesterday, and he like was like calling out Jimmy Kimmel over like the Epstein list or
yes,
something?
dude. And then Kimmel threatened to sue him
Yeah.
if we further debate the facts in court, and then
Oh
tagged the
my
guy. Now that was cold. That was ice in the veins right there.
oh my gosh.
Like this guy just
Absolutely
straight
wild.
up said you were like screwing with a guy who did some pretty bad things, and
Yeah.
you tagged the man in the twit. Like he wants this smoke.
He wants the smoke.
Absolutely, but yeah, dude, Joe Flacco. Like if I'm an NFL voter, he's got my vote. 'Cause Hamlin, what happened to him?
Yeah.
Tragic, right? Absolutely tragic. And the whole way the NFL handled that too when it happened was a little odd. I remember watching that game too.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like I picked because I don't watch a whole lot of NFL games, but it's like I picked the right ones to watch where really like important things happen.
Hmm.
Like I got like a sixth sense for it or something.
Right.
Um, like that first game when the Broncos played the Browns in Mile High earlier this year. Was it Dorian Thompson Robinson?
Yep.
Was that their quarterback that week? And Flacco
Uh,
just on the sidelines in a hoodie.
yeah, like Flacco just signed with them that week.
Like the fact that this man came off his couch from carpooling his kids to ballerina class or whatever, and then is now just shredding apart. Because, like I said, I just love watching quarterback. Don't get me wrong, it's entertaining and it's electric to watch. Like Lamar Jackson scramble for 50 yards and juke a guy in the open field.
Hmm.
I enjoy watching Hurts in the tush push, but just
You
seeing a guy
do.
just I love it. Yeah, it's because back in my playing days, I played offensive line. My grandfather was a college athlete. He played offensive line. He was a center. I was a right guard and center. Also, dabble a little right tackle. But like I love watching the tush push because it's a man play.
Yeah.
It's like which one of us has hit the weight room more,
Yeah.
and you don't see people stopping it because Hurts can deadlift 600 pounds.
And a lot of other teams can't do it.
Exactly. And you want to
So,
talk about a center who's, in my eyes, definitively a Hall of Famer.
oh, Jason, yeah.
Dude, Jason Kell. Honestly, the New Heights podcast is the reason I wanted us to start our pod because I love that
Hmm.
podcast. Like,
Hmm.
but there's just something so satisfying about just seeing a quarterback stand there in the pocket and pick apart a defense.
I know. I
Like,
love that too. Yeah.
I don't need to do anything fancy. I don't need to do anything crazy. I'm going to sit right here. And the second you break coverage for a half second, that's a touchdown.
Yep.
And that's what the NFL is missing.
Hmm.
But yeah, Joe Flacco, he faced Troy Polamalu. Nothing an NFL safety does nowadays is going to affect him.
Yeah.
He had to play
Exactly.
Polamalu twice a year. I mean, when was he drafted?
Yeah.
2008, like 2009, that like
Oh
region
God.
of time?
Flacco? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, dude, he had to play Polamalu twice a year for like a good 6 years.
Hmm.
And he was elite back then. He won a Super Bowl back then.
Exactly. Yep. Well, that's when he came to the Broncos, I was like, okay, maybe this might work. And then it didn't. But
That's like the Broncos haven't made the playoffs since they won the Super Bowl.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the Broncos are stuck in this vigorous cycle of trade for a veteran quarterback because they did it with Peyton Manning and it worked. And since then, I
Yeah.
mean, think about the revolving door at the QB spot. Because didn't Teddy
And
Two Gloves
that's
play there for a while?
Teddy Two Gloves played here. We've had like 14 different starting QBs since Peyton, which is the most in the NFL. And I do want to say this. I get the contract is so bad. And um Russ isn't what he used to be. I really hope they can reconstruct because I do not want to deal with another 5, 6, 7 years of a quarterback carousel. I just want a guy I know he can win. They're just got to play to his strengths. And I mean, because a lot of the play calling, we can't just act like this is all on Russ because a lot of the play calling is on Sean. Well, all of the play calling's on Sean. He's the one that's in charge of that. And on first and second down, he's calling wide receiver and halfback screens that go for 2 yards or -2 yards. And then on third down, he's like, okay, Russ, make a play. And it's just like that's not how you can control offense. And once once Sean in the fourth quarter, when we're down by 14, he starts giving Russ opportunities to light up the field, and he does. And then once we're back in it, we start doing wide receiver screens again. And it's just like, how is that any, how is that going to work? And I know Russ is missing a lot of wide open receivers this year, um, which is difficult to watch on film, I'm sure, for a lot of the guys. But I mean, man, it's just, it's just a rough situation.
The only other thing too, I mean, last season when the Broncos hired Nathaniel Hackett, right? It felt like they hired him to try to attract Rodgers to the Mile High City.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they couldn't get him, it's like, okay, I just got rejected by the hot blonde. Let's try to go for the cute brunette.
Mm-hmm.
So like it seems like Russell Wilson wasn't their first choice at quarterback. And
Yeah, a lot. Some
I think we're
reports
seeing
said he
that.
was. Yeah.
Like, and some reports might have said he was, but like just looking at it, Nathaniel Hackett, why are you hiring him for head coach position? Green Bay hadn't been elite for years on end. He wasn't that good. It's not like you were hiring a Kyle Shanahan or a Mike McDaniels type guy, a younger guy going to light up the locker room. You go and hire Nathaniel Hackett from Green Bay. And the only
Yeah.
reason you're going to do that is if you're trying to attract Rodgers.
Yeah, I think that's 90% of why. I think the other 10% is that he's a player's coach. He doesn't rip into people all the time, which I mean, I think that's like what you need as a coach though, you know?
As a coach, I mean, my grandfather has been coaching football for almost 3 times the amount of time I've been alive.
Hmm.
Right? I mean, he didn't retire until I was 5 years old. Um, and you know what? I've been around football, and I played it in middle school. I've been an analyst for it for 5 years at this point. And just looking at it, sometimes when a player makes a bonehead play, you got to look at him and say that was a bonehead play. What is wrong with you?
Hmm.
Make them run suicides. Make them do bear crawls. So that way, not only are they getting stronger and more mentally tough, but then they also are able to go back in the film room and say, look, this is what I did wrong. What can I do in practice tomorrow to fix it? And that's why I love Mike McDaniel so much.
Yeah.
He's a real players coach because he knows when to support them. He knows when to take blame. He knows when to give blame.
Yeah.
And I think he's found a perfect union between all of those things.
Um, I think that the Dolphins are frauds.
Ooh, do we got a Dolphin fraud watch?
Dolphin fraud watch.
I mean,
It's been fraud watch since week one.
I don't know, man. I don't know if you can judge a team off playing the Ravens.
I can judge a team off of only beating one other team, which was the Cowboys. That's over 500.
Yeah, but there are people right now saying the Cowboys, they got a good look at the bowl.
I know. I know,
So
but
like
one
if that's your one quality, like above 500 win, a team that a lot of people are saying if the Niners don't make it out of the NFC, they will. I mean, listen, I'm a college football guy, right? That's my thing. And when you're talking college football playoffs, which we'll get into later in the show, you're talking wins and then quality losses. And I think the quality win of beating the Cowboys, and was that in Miami or in Dallas? I don't remember.
it was in Miami.
So I mean, you're beating the Cowboys. I mean, you're at home, which doesn't hurt anything. But I mean, if you're beating the team that everyone's like, hey, these guys are looking a little dangerous,
Hmm.
I think you have a shot come playoff time too, because I like Tua. I don't know how hurt Tyreek is. I remember he was hurt.
Yeah, I think it was a
Um,
hamstring. I don't remember. Ankle, something like that.
I remember him telling the story that he was out on the field, hopping off, and his girlfriend told him to be a man.
My God.
It was beautiful. But like I think if you're beaten, if that's your only plus 500 win, I think that tells you a lot about yourself. And you're losing to the Ravens, and I really think the Dolphins and Ravens are going to be our AFC Championship game. And it's hard to beat a team twice.
What are you smoking?
Zoa Energy, I don't know, man.
Wow.
But like
So you don't think any other teams in the AFC can beat the Dolphins? I know they can beat the Dolphins because they've been beaten.
yeah, they just did it, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know how much you followed Colorado Mesa volleyball, right?
Yep.
But Mesa, they beat Regis at Mesa early in the season. Then they go into Denver in the Aurora Event Center. MSU Denver was hosting a power pod. They beat Regis there. Then they get to the second round of the RMAC tournament, and Regis sweeps them. Now, you're trying to tell me that a team is going to get that much worse from October to November? No, but you watch film and like, okay, what are they going to do on this serve? What are they going to do on this set? How do they handle things when they're out of sequence? So I mean, to put that into football terms too, Mike McDaniels and the rest of that coaching staff of the Miami Dolphins, they're going to go back, they're going to watch film and be like, there's a solid chance we see these guys again. What did they get away with this time that we're not going to let them get away with next time?
But I'm not even talking about the Ravens. I'm talking about they're in the wild card. Whoever they play, I don't know if they can beat them. Anyone. I don't know if I I genuinely think that they might be first round exits.
Really? Because I guess my main question is what's currently the first round wild card match or what's
What's
the
it
current
looking like
NC
here?
playoff picture looking like? Yeah.
Let me look it up here.
I'm punching it in right now. Thank you for sticking with us, folks.
All right, got it here.
2023 NFL playoff picture. Let's see if this will load for me. All right, so right
So
now the
number
Dolphins are sitting at a 2 seed, so they would be playing the 7 seed in the Indianapolis Colts.
which
Um,
okay, that could be a
and
that might be a win, but I mean the
it
Colts have
could be
been
the Houston Texans too, because the Colts and Texans play each other this week, right? Whoever wins is in.
right. Right.
Um,
They control their own destiny.
yes, yes, they do. So, but yeah, I mean, you're telling me that you don't think the Dolphins could beat the Colts? And number one, Minshew's my favorite backup quarterback in the league right
Yeah.
now. Or like he couldn't beat the CJ Stroudless Texans.
Yep.
So and I
Oh,
mean, let's
listen
say
to
you go
this
into
though. Hold on. I think this is important to know. The Bills play the Dolphins this last week, week 18, for the AFC, what is it? AFC
East.
South?
It's
East.
AFC East, yeah.
AFC
And I remember seeing that
title.
too. And I saw this thing that the Bills can either be the 2 seed or they can miss the playoffs altogether.
Hmm.
Like the fact is that kind of swing in a week 18
Yeah.
is just crazy to me. But I think the Dolphins, they're at home in Miami, and are they at home? I don't. It says versus for everybody. I don't know who's home that game.
Mm, I think that the Miami's home.
Because that's going into Highland Park. That's not an easy thing to do. Um, but yeah, you're looking at it right now, right? And it's if they're in Miami, I don't think they're going to lose to Josh Allen. He'll throw 50 picks.
Yeah. The Bills have gotten hot though.
They have gotten hot ever because they lost to the Broncos. I remember you and I were hanging out that next one, got some wings.
Yep.
Yeah. Lainey almost broke her other hip at mini golf afterwards.
Wild.
Dude, that was insane.
That was
But
an
no,
insane night.
by the way, if we're shouting at her, shout out Goggles, man.
Shout out Goggles.
He might be
Shout
a
out
cat, but
Goggles
he
and
my
Goggles
dog.
mom.
Yeah,
Yep.
Goggles and Goggles mom. That's how they are known to me. That's how it's
Yep.
gonna stay till I eventually, leave God's green earth. Um, but anyway, yeah, NFL's getting wild towards the end here. I mean, this is tied for the most playoff eligible teams in a week
Yeah,
18
20.
since
20.
2006. You got 20 teams right now that could theoretically make a Super Bowl run. That's gonna be fun to watch.
And that's my thing is like once you're in the playoffs, it doesn't matter your record in the regular season. It's a clean slate. Everyone's 0-0.
And that's the thing, you either win or you're done.
Yep. Yep.
It's simple as that. But anyhow, we're gonna get out of the pro football talks here.
Yeah, let's get
Quick
into
little
some.
no, quick little meme topics for you. All right. I mean, Christmas. By the time this gets out, it's probably 2 weeks behind us, maybe a week and a
Yep.
half. Rudolph is a system reindeer.
All right. Explain your reasoning.
If it was not foggy that Christmas Eve, Rudolph's working at McDonald's.
Oh my god.
I mean,
That's all you gotta
sim
say?
simple as that. I mean, what did Rudolph do? He wasn't even allowed to play in the reindeer games. All right, until it got foggy,
Hey,
so he
when
got
you
put.
hey, when you got talent and someone sees that, of course other guys aren't gonna like you. If you're put at the top, why would anyone like you?
But that's the thing. What would Rudolph be doing right now if it was not foggy that Christmas Eve? He'd still
Hey,
be on the island of misfit toys.
let's be honest. Do we are we for sure that you don't think there's been a foggy Christmas since that one?
I'm sure there has been, but you're telling me there's never been a clear Christmas?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying what are you gonna do for the Christmases that are foggy?
I don't know. Tell your veterans of the locker room,
See?
tell Blitzen and Prancer, hey, I need you guys to be leaders in this locker room today. But you're looking at
What
me
are
and
they
saying,
gonna do? Put
but
put
okay,
some
have you
put
ever heard of
some
a flashlight?
Oh my god. Man, I don't know. I don't know about that, bro.
That was a quick little debate, but I
I
will
think
die on the hill that Rudolph is a system reindeer.
I think key Rudolph is a key reindeer to Santa's squad. Might not need him all the time, but in those clutch situations in the fourth quarter, you're gonna need him.
All right, name me another system that Rudolph would be viable in.
Um,
I mean, think about it. Rudolph is kind of like Brock Purdy. We don't really know how good he is because of how good everyone around him is. But there's those slight moments where you're like, you know what? He can make a play. But would he be that good if he wasn't
yeah.
around that all-star lineup? You got Prancer, you got Blitzen. I mean, Blitzen's probably the best linebacker in the league right
Yeah, you got a point there.
now. That was the worst dad pun
I
I've ever
think
made.
so. So, what do you think Rudolph on like the Rudolph on the Texans?
Nobody cares about him. He's not
Solid
even
team.
thought about. Yeah, but listen, if you were to listen, right now Rudolph is playing on the Baltimore Ravens. All right, you move him anywhere else, it's like nobody talks about him. He doesn't have a song. All right, he doesn't go down in history. It's Rudolph only thrives because of the situation he was put in. He is a system reindeer.
I
But
don't know if
anyhow,
I can agree with you on that one, man.
yeah, that's because you're wrong. But anyhow, that was the last bit of your Christmas cheer coming from the On Second Thought pod. All right, now this is my time to cook.
Yeah,
New Year's Six.
how about we do our 2 minute drill here?
We'll knock out the 2 minute drill after our New Year's Six recap because my 2 minute
Okay, all
drill
right, all right.
feeds off of that. So I'm going to start because I did my most research and notes on the college football playoff. I mean, Jake, were you watching those games?
Dude, oh my gosh, yeah, I was.
That Rose Bowl was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, goodness gracious, that was
Yeah.
a spectacular Rose Bowl.
Hey, what did
JJ
I
McCarthy.
can I'm just gonna say this real quick. What did I say on 91.3? That
What did I say on 91.3?
your Wolverine talk, I know that, but
Yeah,
I said
you said it was
it's
going to be
gonna be a
close.
I said it was gonna be a Michigan Washington Bowl.
Yeah, and you called it, and I salute you for that. But I mean, let's look at some quick stats for JJ McCarthy. 17 for 27, 221 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. But he almost did have that one pick, first play of the game, but kind of got
Yeah.
lucky that Alabama wide receiver stepped out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Blake Corum, 19 attempts, 83 yards, only lost seven, a touchdown, averaged 4.4 a carry. And I saw this really interesting thing too on Instagram. The Wolverines are 30-0 when Blake Corum scores a touchdown. So if you can feed him the ball, that's going to be a win for you.
Yeah.
But also, I was telling you, before we hit the record button, now that Alabama has not been to a title game in 3 years or won a title game in 3 years, that is the longest national title drought in the Saban era at Alabama.
That is crazy. 3 years.
Like,
Like I
I
don't
don't know
know. Yeah,
what's
I
more
don't know
insane.
exactly. I don't know what's crazier is that Alabama's not in the final, championship, or if 3 years is the longest drought they've had in the Saban era.
Yeah, that's just a crazy stat to think of. When I saw that, I like had to double check it because I'm like, yeah, that's right. Also, This will be the first ever season that Alabama won't reach first in the AP poll since 2007.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, Michigan went in. They played with a chip on their shoulder. I mean, their last national title was in 1997. Um, so the fact they went out and did that. Other thing too that I think is definitely interesting. This is the first time that Alabama has ever lost to a one seed in the postseason.
Really?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're talking SEC championship or other bowls or BCS game era, first time they have ever lost to a one seed in the postseason under Saban.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then just some important gambling things. Michigan did cover the 4.5 point spread with that overtime touchdown. But I mean, I was talking because I have a friend from high school who she goes to Alabama, right? And she's very annoying when Alabama wins. So like I was with my dad, right? And I was like, I'm just cheering for Michigan, so she can't be annoying about it. And I was like, well, aren't you annoying when they lose? I'm like, I am. But if you look at the record of 12-1, I haven't gotten very many opportunities to do that this year.
Yeah, I don't get that. That's why I'm annoying. I don't get opportunities every day.
Yeah, she gets an opportunity almost every week. I mean, when you're playing the Citadel, of course you're
Yeah,
gonna get that
come on now.
opportunity.
Come on now.
I was actually talking to Matt Majeski, about the CFP Bowl opt-outs, which I'll touch on some when we talk about the Orange Bowl.
Hmm.
His theory that I really like is at the end of the season or at the beginning of the season, that's when you play the bowl games from the previous year.
Mm.
So you get 6-6 teams, or you're having a Missouri Ohio State game week 1. I mean, my opinion is, you still call it a bowl game, right? Like, I
Hmm.
need to see that Pop Tarts Bowl mascot again in my life. I
That was
really
awesome.
do, dude. I showed it to one of my buddies Monday night, and he
Hmm.
thought it was the coolest thing he'd ever done seen.
Dude.
Like,
Yeah.
he loved it.
Went through the
Um,
toaster, popped right out. Yep.
yeah, bro. And then you see the Kansas State coach taking a bite out of it. That was awesome.
Dude, he took a full grab.
Exactly. Did you see the thing with the Cheez It Bowl too? Their
No.
mascot had a sign. He had one of those signs that the Pop Tart Bowl guy had all night and said, "I'm not edible," or something along those lines. I'll have you pop
Yeah.
a picture of it up.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, dude, it was a thing of beauty. But that way too, you avoid those teams playing, like Sisters of the Poor week 1. So you can still have Central Michigan and Troy play each other at 6-6. That's fine. But they're
Right.
also going to have Missouri and Ohio State playing each other when it still matters for national title hopes. Um, I mean, just the bowl opt outs, man, that killed Florida State.
Oh my. Okay, let's talk about Florida State for a second.
They deserve. I don't care what happened. Their third string quarterback, Tate Rodemaker, he transferred, so he wasn't playing.
Hmm.
Um, so they were playing on their fourth and fifth string guy.
That's
Um,
wild.
I don't remember the exact number. It was 20 plus opt outs that Florida State had. So you got to think that's almost an entire starting lineup that they had
Yeah.
not playing in the game.
Yeah.
So of course they were going to lose 63-3. And Kirby Smart even said he didn't feel that good about how big the victory was because half their team wasn't there.
Right. Right. Let's see. So let's say this was week 5 Florida State. What do you think the score is?
I think it's like a good 35-28 in favor of Florida State. I think Florida State deserved a playoff chance because I don't think their entire team would have opted out.
I agree.
And I
I
mean,
agree.
remember that Alabama Michigan game, instant classic. That's going
Yeah.
to be a game that the Rose Bowl talks about forever.
Hmm.
Same with the Sugar Bowl. That game was really interesting too towards the end of the game.
Yep.
When Texas, it seemed like all hope had been lost. They go down, kick the field goal. They're down by 6. Then Washington player gets injured, so they get an extra timeout. Washington has to punt it away. Their long snapper gets called for kick catch interference. That's 15 yards down the field. So they drive like 60 yards and come up short on a play that definitely was PI that wasn't called.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if you watched the replays of that play, but that was definitively pass interference.
Yeah.
Um, so I just think Florida State, they got the short end of the stick, and I think they got the worst of the bowl opt-outs.
I
So,
agree.
you saw what Pat McAfee said on game day too, that he had the great honor of playing the Peach and Sugar Bowl, but he also had the great honor of playing the Mikey Car Care Bowl and the Gator Bowl, because in his teammates' eyes, it was the last time that this same group of guys will ever go out and play a game of ball together.
Absolutely.
And West Virginia, like I remember them being good for a few years back when Geno Smith was, on them before he got drafted. But
Mhm.
like they were never title contenders. They were
No.
never close to title. I mean, one of my favorite videos on the internet is Tavon Austin highlights.
Yep. Yep.
Like
You
if
get
I
you
need to
get
like if
you got
I ever
the
need to
flag
hype
football
myself.
boys ready.
No, so I was a head coach for flag football team, right? That we didn't win a championship, but before a game, I'd always send them either Ray Lewis hardest hits compilation or Tavon Austin highlights. And it really just depended on what the game plan was for that week.
Yep.
Um, I mean, I would pick either or. It didn't matter to me which video it was. But my boys were getting hyped. I just think it was completely rigged of what happened to Florida State. And then, people are like, oh, yeah, they would have been great in a CFP semifinal. No, they wouldn't have. Half their team opted out.
Yeah,
I mean, think about
that's true.
any team on the face of the planet at any level. If half the team just decides not to play, you're going to get killed.
Yeah.
And, there's that thing where Florida State was threatening not to play. And I saw
Really?
this. Oh, yeah, it was. And I mean, my step grandfather, I don't know, my grandma's new husband in Oregon, he thought they fully opted out. He said they took their football home.
Wow.
So obviously it was a pretty big thing. And I saw this one tweet that's like Florida State threatened not to play, and apparently they just showed up and didn't do it anyways. I'm like, of course they weren't playing.
My God. Right.
22 players. That's an entire starting lineup. So if it's 20 plus, because I think it was like 25 or 26. Feel free to fact check me on that. But if you're having that many players decide not to play, you're going to
Of
get
course,
murdered.
yeah.
It's how that happens. But also speaking of college game day and Pat McAfee, let a naysayer know. That was so
Oh my
funny,
God,
dude.
dude. That was so funny. Everyone was like,
And Desmond Howard and Joey Galloway laughing their asses off,
oh
dude.
my gosh. That was hilarious.
Dude, it was so funny. Oh my
Dude,
God, it was hilarious.
Pat McAfee brings something to the table that not a lot of people do.
Bro, honestly, that's like when I'm doing a radio show, I try to embody Pat McAfee.
Yep.
I don't do it. No one can do it like him, all right? Like best punter in league history. Remember that thing where he was like introducing a draft pick at like I don't remember what it was like.
Oh yeah, and he
No,
was like, "We own you, guys." Yeah.
no, he was like, now, admittedly, I don't. I remember us playing the Jaguars twice a year, but I don't
Or it
remember
was
playing
Tennessee.
often. Yeah, it was. Oh, it was Tennessee. Like
It was
I
Tennessee.
don't remember being on the field very much.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that was cold in their
Dude.
city, bro. Dude, that
Oh
was
my
messed
God.
up.
I
That was
love him.
ice in the veins right there, bro.
Yep.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
other look into it, some college football playoff bowls. Oregon absolutely routs Liberty, which everyone saw happening.
Shocker.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bo Nix, I have so much more respect for Bo Nix for playing in that game.
Yeah.
And if I'm an NFL scout or an NFL GM, to me, his draft capital just skyrocketed in my eyes. That's going to tell you he's a man who cares about his teammates more than he does himself, and that's the kind of guy I want in my locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. Could that be someone that the Broncos look at?
I feel like here's the thing: he's closer to a true pocket passer. He can, he can make a broken play. We've all seen that one um, against it was Oregon State where he had to roll out to the right, then just rifles one cross body. I think it was 35 yards in the air downfield. I mean, all the Oregon State defenders started creeping up because they were expecting him to take off, and he just rifles
Yep.
it downfield for an easy Oregon touchdown.
Yeah. So,
Um,
um, do you think Sean would cut the team, take the dead cap just to get his guy in the draft? Or, as a lot of people have been saying recently, is it cheaper to keep her?
I I don't know, man. It's let me put it this way. Um, I love Knicks, but I don't think he's a generational guy.
Right.
I think he's a guy who can be somewhat like a Kirk Cousins kind of archetype where like he's not necessarily gonna win you games, but he's not gonna lose you games.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's time to time you'll see him make an incredible fourth quarter comeback or drive you down the field in the 2 minute drill. But I don't think we're gonna see somebody, he's like Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts,
Like a
who's gonna
real
be like that.
game
Yeah.
changer.
But also, I mean, this is kind of off topic. But talking Patrick Mahomes, do we got to start talking that maybe Tyreek Hill's the greatest wide receiver of all time? And that sounds ridiculous, but let me explain myself. 2 years removed from Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs barely win the AFC or the AFC, what are AFC West?
AFC West.
And then you go down to South Beach. Dolphins are doing something special down there.
Are they? I don't think the Dolphins are that
If you're clinching a playoff spot, you're doing something right.
they had a cakewalk of a schedule though.
But they still beat the Cowboys, who, like I said, a lot of people are saying, hey, this could be your Super Bowl champion. And also, let's look at the Dolphins pre and post Tyreek Hill. The Dolphins weren't that good. And even if they were in this cakewalk of a schedule, do you really think they're coming out winning 10 games?
I mean,
And
probably not.
you've seen the Chiefs' struggles as of late. You've seen that the wide receiver core really isn't doing much for Mahomes. Kelsey's getting locked down. I I know that's a hot take, but I really do think we might got to start giving some respect to Tyreek Hill.
I agree with that. I still think. Are you saying Mahomes is not elite? What are you saying here?
I'm saying the numbers will tell you what you want to know. That's what I'll
Oh
say.
man. Let's yeah. Russell Wilson's numbers and Patrick Mahomes' numbers were nearly identical.
And you know my opinions on Russell Wilson.
Wow.
Shake your head, man.
Lo-
No, listen. I'm a big believer, right? Because well, let me give you a little background as to why any of you should listen to me. Okay, I am a paid sports analyst for CMU right now. I'm a student assistant. They have not hired me. They're just letting me do it for funsies. But like, I make my bacon watching film, looking at numbers, reading stories, and I am a big believer that a box score can't tell you what happened in a game. Same as like
That's true.
I mean, like it's different, right? 'Cause,
But
like I'm a
also,
golfer. Like I played golf in high school, and like all that matters in golf is the scorecard. Doesn't matter how pretty it was. Doesn't matter how lucky or unlucky it was. Like when you're looking at sports like football, soccer, volleyball, basketball, the box score isn't going to tell you what you need to know, man.
mhm,
Um, but just watching Mahomes and Russell Wilson play, they're both looking really similar right now. And I don't know if I'd put any of them in an S tier quarter. I mean, at the beginning of the season, Mahomes definitely an S tier quarterback. I mean, I still think he's an A tier quarterback, but I don't think you could put him with the top five quarterbacks in the league anymore.
name your top five over Mahomes.
All right, these are going to be some hot takes here, and you're going to hate every one of them. Tua, I like Tua more than I like Mahomes. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Brad Stafford this year, and then I'm the biggest Cowboys hater alive, but Dak Prescott.
What about Lamar Jackson?
I think he's an MVP. Um, I don't know if you're asking me who I want to start a team with, because that top five is in no particular order.
No
That's my
particular order.
no particular. It was off the dome, right? And I think Lamar's definitely up there, but I mean, I think he has a great defense with him. He can score when he needs to. I mean, has 3 perfect passer game ratings, tied for second in NFL history. So maybe Lamar should have been on there. Now that I'm really thinking about it. Yeah, give me Lamar over Tua. So I think they're similar, but Lamar just does it better.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know if we can call Mahomes elite anymore, man. After this season, unless they make a deep playoff run like AFC Championship next year, he's not in the elite quarterback category in my eyes.
Wow.
Because an elite quarterback is someone that will go out there and just win you games. And I haven't seen anything special from Mahomes that says
There's been a lot of drops. A lot of wide
I
receiver
agree.
drops.
But if you're, a great quarterback, you're going to work on that in practice. You're going to figure out what's going on. You're going to figure out where you got to put the ball for your guy to make the play. And he hasn't been doing that.
All right.
So
All right.
that's my tangent on that. To go
That's your
back
that's
to the
your
New Year's Six
that's
bowls.
your hot horrendous take for the day.
Don't you mean the best take you'll ever hear in your life? Back to bowls. Ole Miss defeats Penn State in the Peach Bowl 38-25. Jackson Dart, man, what a player.
I like Dart. I
He's
like Dart. I
I've
didn't
watched
watch
him
the
play all
game.
season.
I didn't watch
I
the game,
watched
but I like
some of
Dart.
it. I was raking leaves actually during this game.
Okay. Okay.
Just doing a little yard work, mate, reconnecting with nature. But yeah, Ole Miss, from what I saw, they looked good.
Hmm.
Um, Solid team out there. Penn State, nothing to shake a stick at either, but I mean, Franklin been at Penn State for as long as I can remember. I think he's doing something special out there, man. But when you're competing in a conference where you got to go against Ohio State and Michigan every year, it's tough for you. But speaking of Ohio State, they did not have a good bowl game performance themselves at all. They lost in
Yeah.
a horrendous game in the Cotton Bowl. 14-3 was the final score.
Yikes.
And the Tigers' two touchdowns. Score was 3-0 or 3-0. I've been calling a lot of soccer this year. It was 3-0 going into the third quarter until Missouri was able to score back-to-back tutties.
Yep. Hey, I called this one on the pod too. I mean, on 91.3.
Yeah, I hate Ohio State. I did not call them to win that game because I knew Marvin Harrison was opting out.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, honestly, we should have kept track of it and like gotten a final score tally. But I feel like we're
I know.
both probably pretty even.
We've hit a lot of them.
Yeah,
We
like from
have.
what I remember, it's like I think the MAC right now only lost one bowl game, and I picked every MAC team.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
So like that's like an easy couple wins right there. My shot from the bowl scene though, the Golden Gophers of Minnesota.
The Gophers.
The Gophers. Well, because like they were 5-7, they shouldn't have made a bowl game, and they did and won.
Yeah.
I remember I was watching that game in Oregon as well at my aunt's house, and I couldn't find the normal ESPN channel, but I
Mm-hmm.
could find ESPN Deportes. So I
Oh,
watched
okay.
the I
Okay.
watched the game in Spanish.
Okay.
Because she was out taking her boyfriend back to the airport or something like that. She's back like, "What are you doing?" Like, I couldn't find normal ESPN. It was like the third person, like, "Oh, it's this channel." So like, I watched 3/4 of that game in Spanish.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I wasn't missing the game, and here's the
No.
thing, I mean, I've been calling football for 5 years at this point, and my dad came out like, "What are you?" My dad was like, "I couldn't find the English ESPN channel." It's like, "Oh, so you just commentate the game in your head?" Pretty much
Yep.
it.
Yep.
That's
This is
pretty
your
much what's going on.
practice. It's your
Exactly. Hey, you
practice.
practice like you play.
Yep.
And sometimes that practice includes listening to two guys call a game in Spanish.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I couldn't have told you who anybody was, like, because like I don't know how, because Pueblo, right, my hometown where I'm at right now, very large Spanish speaking community. So you'll be hearing them convert, or like if you ever see like a Spanish like commercial, it'll be like a bunch of words and it'll just be like Colgate, and then just back to a bunch of words you don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much what was happening to me. They'd be, going, then I'd hear a name like, okay, that's who that guy is, and then they'd keep going.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was an enjoyable experience. I mean, those guys bring me energy. It was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
High
Yeah.
energy call right there. I aspire to be that excited.
Yeah,
I, I
dude,
might ha- I
they
might
get
have to
fired up.
watch some more ESPN Deportes. I really
Yeah.
might have to.
Absolutely.
Like maybe I learn Spanish just so I can watch those.
Yep. Yep.
Dude, that would be the most insane. It was like, so why'd you learn Spanish? Wanted to watch ESPN Deportes, man.
Yep, ESPN Deportes.
It was beautiful. All right. Well, anyhow, that's enough about bowl season and ESPN Deportes. All right, now
How
we
long
get
have
a
we been
little
going here?
about an hour.
About an hour. Yep.
We'll get you guys off the pot here pretty quick. I'm gonna get a quick sip of water because I'm getting a little raspy before my 2 minute drill. Now, Jake, you want to explain to the people what the 2 minute drill is?
2 minute drill. Everyone's heard of it. If you've watched American football before, you got 2 minutes driving down the field to score. Instead of that, we're going to use this analogy. 2 minute drill is going to be Dino Allen explaining a certain sports topic going on in 2 minutes or less. He has 2 minutes. Once he's done, that means he scored a touchdown. Game over. Taking his team to the bowl, and so on and so forth.
If not, I'm like Texas and I fall short.
Yep. Yep. All right. So what's
All
our
right.
2 minute drill today going to be about?
I'm just gonna give you guys a little preview into the CFP championship. What I've seen, watching both these teams for a better part of the year. I'm a Pac-12 fan, so I watch a lot of Washington. And I hate Ohio State, so I've watched a lot of Michigan.
Yep.
And I only hate Ohio State because of the 2014 CFP title game when they killed my glorious king, Marcus Mariota. Remember, I was so
Agony.
hyped for that game. That dude, that like thinking about that, and I remember I went to Autzen and met Mariota before that, like that season. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I have no autograph. I have no photo. I have no proof because their autograph time was over. Right
Yep.
in 2014, I was like, 10 years old. I was super bummed I didn't get to meet Mariota. So he comes up, shakes my hand, asks my name, says, like, yeah, I want to play football like you. He says, well, then train hard, little buddy, or something along those lines. It was, like I said, it was almost a decade ago. So, the memory's gotten a little fuzzier as time goes on. It's, things
Mhm.
do. But yeah, I got to meet the greatest quarterback of all time
The
before
goat.
that season. My goat.
Your
Like by the
goat.
numbers, he's not, but he's my
Yep. That's how I am with Russ.
goat. Exactly.
Russ
All
is my
right.
goat.
Well,
All right.
Jake, you count me down, and we'll get cooking.
All right. 2 minute drill starting in on go. Three, two, one, go.
So as we already talked about a lot, we saw the two great CFP semifinal games. Both of these teams are going to be coming in hot. Michigan and Washington, neither of them have lost a game. Looking at titles, Michigan's last night was in 1997. The Huskies haven't had one since 1991. Michael Penix Jr., probably one of the top 5 quarterbacks in this upcoming draft class, which is a really strong quarterback class. He's going to be playing well, but just kind of looking at some of his stats as I hit the individual button on the Washington website. 29 for 38, 430 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He is the second quarterback all time to have back-to-back yards of more than 45 or back-to-back years of more than 4,500 passing yards. Last quarterback to do that was Patrick Mahomes for Texas Tech. Really great rushing attack, too, really balanced. A lot of guys getting the ball. Dylan Johnson, Tybo Rogers, even Jeremy Bernard got a carry there for a while. 51 yards for Dylan, not the best running attack. And Texas, though, they were able to kind of shut down their running attack, kept them at bay with passing yards. We saw two completely different semifinal games here as Michigan, Alabama was who's going to make the last mistake, not who's going to make the least. A lot of mistakes in that game. Who's going to make the last mistake? But Washington, it was who's going to make the first mistake. A really high shootout. And Washington almost lost that game off a mistake, with that kick catch interference. Can't blame that player for being down. My dad and I were talking on the sideline. He probably felt really, really bad about himself because, he gave the Longhorns a free timeout. But also looking at the stats from Michigan, JJ McCarthy, like I said, 17 for 27, 221 yards, 3 touchdowns. Donovan Edwards, backup running back, averaged about 3 yards a carry, 4 for 11. Their receiving attack really balanced too. Roman Wilson, Tyler Morris. The one thing that worries me, though, that I don't think anyone in this country is going to be able to do, looking at receiving, Romo Dunze for Washington, 6 grabs, 125 yards. No touchdowns, but that's because Texas was able to look at the scouting report. 2 touchdowns on the ground, 2 through the air. Washington really had a great game there. Not many mistakes. I'm not seeing any turnovers on their side of the ball. So they just need to be able to kind of do things right there. But my pick, give me the Wolverines.
Ooh. You went over just by like
I
a
went
second.
203, but I got the snap off.
He got the snap off. He got the
Yeah.
snap. Okay, we'll give it to him. We'll give it to him. High point
Yeah.
touchdown in the end zone at the end there.
Let's go. A little lob up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll give it to him. We'll give it to him.
All right. Last talk we have for today. The Detroit Pistons.
Woo!
That is a pitiful football team. Or
Or
not, basketball
team.
team. We've been talking about football podcasts, and we're like, you know what? We should just randomly bring up basketball.
Yeah.
But I feel like you have to when you're cooking on a 29-game losing streak. They recently snapped. I'll
Hey,
get the team and score for you really quick.
You think Mesa basketball can take down the Pistons?
Okay, that's a tough one.
Dude, did you see they were having tryouts for the public, dude?
That was insane. But also looking at the Pistons, right? They're able to win by 2 against the Raptors on December 30th. But then they went back and lost immediately to the Rockets. But dude, the fact that you're just not long of a streak. Did you see the thing from Wingstop?
Yeah, dude. Like, yeah, they get free wings for like 5 free boneless wings if they win.
If
Dude,
the
them
Pistons
boys
win it, and they didn't. They just kept losing.
them boys in Detroit haven't eaten in over a month.
It's like, well, it's even funnier. So the night that December 30th game was that same night with the whole Lions Cowboys thing, which by the way was a pitiful show of officiating.
hmm
And the fact that those guys are going to be on primetime television again this Saturday sickens me.
Yeah.
There is a clause in the NFL rulebook, though, that the commissioner can't overturn a game result. I don't think Raj is going to do it, but he could if he wanted to. There was still 30 seconds left on the clock. But yeah, just the fact that, it took a Lions loss for the Pistons to win. The Pistons won single-digit games in 2023. It's like 9 games the entire year.
Mm-hmm.
Not a good franchise, man. Poverty franchise. I mean, they haven't been good since the Bad Boys. Bad Boy
Yeah,
Pistons.
bad boy
Back,
Pistons.
dude, back when basketball was like basically it was football on a hardwood floor.
Dude, exactly.
Like Hack a Shack, that was an insane
Mm-hmm.
strategy. That's
Yep.
why they had to introduce fouling out because people would just do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like it was insane to me.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, shout out, congrats to the Pistons. They finally won a game. They're
Shout
now
out to the Pistons. Couple people got to eat at some Wingstop.
they're now 3-30. So, I mean, if you're talking about it's what 82 game NBA season,
What's that on pace for? Like 12 games to win?
probably
Not,
less, honestly.
no,
But
yeah.
I'm just thinking right now they could go on the losing streak of all time. They could win their next 50 games and still probably miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
imagine going on a 50 game winning streak and losing, like not even having a chance to cup.
Yep. Yep.
And that's just wild to me.
Yeah, I don't know
But
if I yeah.
Jake, I mean, any closing thoughts for you?
Closing thoughts. I'm in shambles about Russ. What could have been. It was a movie when we traded for him, dude. It's that was like one of those moments where it's like I remember where I was, what I was doing. Like that like that's like one of those moments in history where you just remember and it's just like, man. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens because some reports now are saying they might keep Russ because it might just be cheaper and Sean thinks he can win with him, but I don't think that's true. I think Sean is I don't think Sean has any faith. That's my closing thought for the day.
Yeah, my closing thought is Florida State was robbed, and you cannot judge anything about their team off of this bowl game performance.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know how many. I know you get 35 scholarships in Division Two. I don't know how many you get in Division One. It has to be closer to like 70,
Mm,
like 60, 70 range. So if a third of your scholarship players aren't playing, you can't judge a team like that, man. Come
yeah.
on now.
Yep.
Horrible. Absolutely
Absolutely.
pitiful. But anyhow, that was on second thought. Thank you guys so much for joining us for the inaugural episode. That's Jacob Krelovich. I'm Dean Allen. We'll see you next time.
Peace.